the it gives you what you need.
I was trying to catch it. Always has some good advice with the cheap credits, but
Gotta be quicker than that.
Miss Deb, so in the course videos channel, if one of my lovely co-hosts will track it down, or maybe John has a link handy, he's actually done at least one class like on Mixtro, which is super cheap. So I definitely recommend watching that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started since we're 10 minutes in already. All right. Again, I know we have some new people, and I do tend to go fast. I have been told that before. Do not be afraid to interrupt me and say, please slow down, okay? My daddy told me that my whole life. I'm used to it. Don't be afraid to ask me to repeat something. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. This class is for you to learn. Do not be embarrassed. You know, a lot of people say, they'll start, oh, this is probably a silly question, but look, we've all been there, okay? This is how you learn. So please don't be afraid to ask questions. Thank you, John. Yeah, that's it. I do ask that, like, if you have a TV in the background, a radio, or if somebody comes in to talk with you, please make sure you're muted then because we can hear. If you're worried about unmuting and muting, you can actually mute yourself. And then if you want to talk, hold down your space bar and it does unmute you while you're talking. And then when you're done talking, release the space bar, you go back to mute. So if you're kind of worried about making sure you're muted and all that. Mac users, I actually don't think it works that way. You have to go into your settings. Anyways, is there anybody here that is not familiar with Notion? The website Notion. They say, I do you think you can? I just think you have to go in your settings somewhere, like in your actual Zoom settings. Okay, so for
I,
Notion,
I tried it just now and it did nothing.
yeah, go into your actual Zoom settings. I think it's a checkbox you have to click. Okay, so with Notion, I am linking this Notion document here. I'm actually going to give y'all two links and explain both of them. This link right here is for everybody who is brand new. You have never taken a class with me. These are actually every single document I have put together for class. Yes, it can be overwhelming. You don't have to go through all of these, but they, peruse them at your leisure. So that is that link to all of these documents here. For those who do not have Notion, you haven't used Notion before, when you go to sign up, they will offer you a free version and a paid version. You do not need the paid version. I use the free. It does absolutely everything I need to. Most people I know use the free version, so do not feel like you have to go and buy another subscription to anything. But I will tell you, there are a lot of teachers, we do prefer to give out our documents via Notion because of how easy it is to organize things here. So when you make an account in Notion, and I actually have a class, if one of my co-hosts don't mind grabbing that one as well, the Notion class that we did. Once you make a Notion account, all of these documents that we give you, you can duplicate to your account and edit to your heart's content. All right, so y'all got my whole list. We are going to go into the character and world building template sessions. If you've had this before, great. I haven't added anything new, but this is the specific one that if you really want to dive into characters and world building, this is the session that we did when they were released. Lots of changes have come out since then, but this is a very big deep dive. One class on characters, one class on world building, and then a combined one. Lots of details here in these toggles. So please browse that. It might cover anything that I have missed. And take a sip of my tea. Okay. This template box ideas and this spreadsheet link, they are the same thing, same exact thing. This wasn't showing up for some people, so I put the actual link. That link is going to take you to this. These are template ideas. You can use them for characters, you can use them for world buildings. So we'll actually be looking at a few of these. Play around with them, have fun. This is a rabbit hole in the world building cards that's easy to go down to, but so fun. All right, so for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be a little sporadic here. I'm going to show you a couple of different projects just because I want to show you example world building cards that I created. And then we're going to actually work just inside one project and do some customizing there for a single story. Right, any questions before we get started that I need to address? Co-host, I am closing down my chat, so I won't see anything. Okay. I'm just deciding which one I want to show first. Let's get my incognito out of the way. I hate having lots of windows open. All right, so for the world building cards, you can create customized stuff. You do not have to you do not have to use these right here. You can create your own, and we are actually going to do that. I'm jumping up into characters because before we had the world building cards, I actually created a different card in the character section, again, because we didn't have the world building cards yet. And I just wanted to give you an idea of the different things you can do. So you see here, called it city setting. These drop downs on characters, you can actually type into that and change it. It doesn't look like it, but I type town and you could click create town. So this is a Jack the Ripper story. So I made my Whitechapel card because I wanted to bring in how Whitechapel was at that time. And again, this is just to give you some ideas. So I put the name of the card. For the new folks, I want you to understand this name right here, Whitechapel, and this box where you could put other names. These are very important for you to reference to the AI, meaning whenever you go to write your prose, you know you want it to pull information from this Whitechapel card. In my beats, in my outline somewhere, I need to prompt it, depending on which feature you're using. I need to say Whitechapel. If I have a thing called Jack's house, if the card's called that, I need to say Jack's house. It needs to be this name. Don't use the word the, but use this name or call it by whatever other names you have listed here. That is what tells the AI to go to this card in particular and pull the information, okay? So it's going to look through and see what is relevant. I do recommend watching Miss Lynn's quick start she also did on this because she covers some basic features like the hide and show, all of those things. I want to kind of get into the deep dive stuff here. So this is just how I created my card, the location. I wanted the atmosphere of the time. So I wanted to make sure it remained unsettling and tense because, Jack the Ripper time in Whitechapel. I put some of the issues and of course, just the time frame, all of that. And then I also put just some facts. This is a bunch of Wikipedia stuff thrown in here. I was testing, but it actually did really good. So it would bring in talking about the brothels and the women. If I mentioned coffin bed here in my title right here, it would actually know what the coffin bed was and be able to reference that accurately. So that's one way to use the cards like that. And while we're in characters, I'm going to jump to one in particular because I know we have a lot of thriller and murder writers. So this is fixing to get slightly graphic here, y'all. But something that I loved to do with this particular story, y'all know the Jack the Ripper story, he killed the prostitutes. One thing I wanted to do was make sure it was accurate, as accurate as possible. So in the character cards for the prostitutes, I actually put a circumstances of death trait right here and talked about, when they were found, when they were last seen, how their body was found, all of the wounds, things like that. So that is how creative you can get in both the character and world building. Right. Another thing you can do in world building. And I do highly encourage this with locations that have like multiple floors and there's going to be different locations that are in your story. You can do a layout. So this is just a brief rushed example for class one day. So I did the police station. And of course, how I want people to feel when they go in there, where it's at, and then I actually put the layout right here. So if you have a multi-story building, like an office building or something, and characters go to different floors for different things, you can put that in here. So I could have a trait for the laboratory, the DNA lab, or something along those lines. The break room, CEO's office, however you want to do it. You can do those trait fields, name it that, and then you can reference that in your prose or your beats rather, so that the AI references and looks at things for the prose. All right, I'm going to close this one out. One of the others I really like to do is a town card. So to create these different kind of cards, because you see up here, the defaults, there's no town. So to create that, you go to Customize, and in the drop down, it'll be like setting. And again, it doesn't look like you can type in there, but you can type whatever you want. I already have a town, so let's see, whatever. Type whatever you want, and you'll click create that name. So I did my town here, and I did add it to that spreadsheet. So for those of you who have had it before, I just added that one today. I don't know if you actually want it. Let's see, here it is. So I have the location, general environment, the description. I've asked for 3 key locations: climate, weather, population, demographics. I can say this one, it's fairly useless, but I have one series that deals with a lot of rich neighborhoods and everything. So that's why I brought it in. I wanted to see how well the AI did when they went from their gated community to other parts of the town. So just to make sure everybody has this new one. I can find the chat. There you go. So that's the only new one for y'all. Excuse me. And this is the result of the town card here in this story. So you can see what we did. John actually helped me with this when we were in Zoom when I created it. So Silver Shore is the name of the actual town. This is the name of the key locations in that town that are heavily referenced throughout my series. The reason I put those other names here is because instead of having to create a different card for each one, now I can just say the bluffs, and it will go to this card and drop in what it needs. I tested it, and it actually did a really good job of parsing the information. So my key locations are here. That's Silver Coast Highway, the Bluffs, and Ocean Point. And like I said, it does a good job of bringing this in. In fact, it does it so well that it knows Silver Coast Highway is the way to get to certain places. So it will actually incorporate that. That was the good thing about having these in the same box. And the demographics, like I said, this one's mostly useless, but I wanted to try it out.
That was the issue we were having before, was trying to get them to tie cards together. And so by putting it all into a single card, you could group these and give it that sort of geographic information.
And one thing I'm loving is the climate and weather. The AI came up with all this. I love it. Actually, ChatGPT came up with this and I inserted it. But I have found I have seasonal effects for each of these key locations. And that actually works pretty well because in my story for each chapter, I'm prompting it what month it is of the year because everything happens just within several months. So I'm prompting it with what month it is in that chapter outline. And it is actually pulling things in fairly accurately. So that's the second card that I like to do, the town card. The other one that I like to do, let me first go to the story we will be working on because we will play with it in that one. This one's really going to be from scratch. All right, so the other one I like to do is a world building brainstormer card. If y'all are confused on how I'm getting to these, remember that link I showed y'all in this? These two things I said were the same thing. That takes you to the spreadsheet. You can click into whichever document you want, click there, and it'll open up that actual document. That's how I'm jumping to these real quick. So this one actually works better for fantasy because of the instructions and everything. You can tailor it, but I did work with the AI and actually get some other world building brainstormers. So are they perfect? Not by any means. I didn't edit them. I just put them together for people to tailor. So there's a contemporary romance, sci-fi, historical, and MC. So check those out. So I'm going to jump down to the world building card. Let me go over some basics here. Where is my world building? Do I not have world building in this one? There we go, brainstorming. All right, so again, you can either use one of these as is, or you can customize. So I can go into this customize lore, make sure I have all the traits I want. If I do not want certain traits, I can X them out. I can change the location of the boxes. I can add in whatever traits I want, whatever instructions. That's the key to remember with these cards and how creative you can get. All of these instructions in the trait fields, they act as instructions to the AI. I'm sorry, I meant to say names. So the names of those fields, the description, can act as instructions to the AI. So I could tell it the sights, sounds, smells. This is lore, so this doesn't fit. But anyways, so that's what I can do. Instead of just saying description, leaving it up to the AI what to pull in, I'm telling it, hey, give me this information right here. These boxes, these name boxes hold up to 300 characters, okay? So you could put quite a bit there. So that is lore. Let me go to my brainstorming. I'll show you different ones that I've made. So oh, I deleted that one. That one's no good. Mafia brainstorming. So I like to write a lot of dark mafia romance. So this is my mafia brainstorming card. Doesn't fit this story, so we can't try it. But you can see how creative you can get. You know, I got law enforcement. How do the local police act with the mafia and all of that? Power and politics. All of those things. And this is that brainstorming card I showed you in the Google Docs. So I've instructed it. Let's pull up this one where you can see it. So these are the field names. I have put all of this information in the trait field names because I'm telling it, hey, I want you to describe specific locations and consider how it influences the culture, daily life. So all of this, again, it's acting as instructions to the AI when it fills it out. So since I have it, and we do have, I think we have enough in the brain dump to pull from this. Your characters and world building cards will look at synopsis first. I do not have anything in my synopsis. Therefore, it's going to look at brain dump for information. So I actually don't have my characters done with this book. This is one we're working on in another class. So we can start from scratch on making up all kinds of things with this story. So this is going to be a YA fantasy, magical academy, students who just screw up all their spells, that kind of thing. So the first thing I want to do is, since I don't know much about this world yet, again, it was just created for a class, I can do that brainstorming card. So I'm going to click this generate element. Scroll to my brainstorming. I can give it instructions on what to focus on. Maybe I want it to focus on the academy itself. Let's see. That could possibly actually work. Let's try it. We'll try it second, actually. I want it to do the general. So I'm not going to put any instructions here, but you can put at least 1,000 words possibly up to 2,000. They weren't certain of the limit, but you can put a lot in these boxes, y'all, even though it looks small. For example, let me generate this, and while it goes, I'll talk. So for example, on another one, maybe in those videos I linked on that character and world building page, I had prose generated from a chapter and it created a new character for me. Well, I really liked the idea of that new character. So characters work the same way where I can generate an element. So I went and did that with characters, generate that character in that instruction box that popped up. I actually put that section of prose that generated, and I said, hey, create this character for me. Does beautifully. So you can create elements from your prose. Say it, put your characters in some random location because you forgot to change your words, your pronouns, or anything. It gave you this random location, but hey, you actually like it. You can copy that section of prose and generate that location for you. Any questions? All right, moving on then.
Wait, no,
Oh, okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Please explain for the class what a coffin bed is.
Coffin bed is what was used in, well, I'm guessing lots of places, but it was in Whitechapel to where lots of people, there were actual coffins, I believe, if I understood it right, that people could sleep in, but basically it was just these very small beds for people to sleep in. So like they were stacked on each top of each other, like could be four like bunk beds stacked on top of each other side by side. It was a way for them to cram a lot of people into a small space. So just think very small, cramped bed.
And also creepy. Gotcha. Absolutely. I'm with you.
All right. So it generated our card brainstorming. I don't care about the name because I'd say we're pretending, but it's actually true. This is just the beginning of my story. All I'm doing with this brainstorming card is getting a bunch of ideas from the AI at once. That's all I'm doing. Other names, it said the Misfit Brigade. I actually like that too. And briefly,
Miss Nicole,
yes, ma'am.
excuse me, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you're doing world building or characters, is there a way to upload a photo into Sudowrite that
Not
would
the,
co?
no, ma'am, not the photos, like for the AI to pull a description from.
No, I've just created a lot of characters and I'm real visual.
Mhm.
So like in my Word document, I've uploaded photos
Gotcha.
representing my characters, representing settings in my Word document. I was wondering if I could upload those, like when I'm adding my characters into Sudowrite, could I also upload the photo that coincides with that character?
So John Creason, if he has given me instructions before to try to upload a photo, I can't really ever get it to work. But I will
Okay.
say, I'm in the wrong thing. Where's my settings?
What we were able to do was to just paste it into a document. So we can't put it close to the character at the moment, but we were able to paste them into documents. And if you generate pictures using Sudowrite, you can insert them into documents as well.
Yeah.
And if you have the same, if you're using the, if you get the, if I think it's PNG, and if you get the same format, you should be able to paste it in.
Again,
Oh,
he's given me instructions a number of times. I can't ever do it. However, I like to have description or pictures as well. It's like these are my settings for one story. I did this with Sudowrite's Visualize inside
oh, okay.
Sudowrite program. So I could highlight, I actually highlighted their description that I wrote out and it created the pictures for me. And then I can insert that into the document.
Gotcha. Okay, that would work.
Okay,
That would
and
be
that
work. Yes.
it is on their list of requests, and I think they liked it and it was high enough of a priority that I think sometime maybe in the next year we will actually be able to have like a character profile picture or something right here on the character card. I know this is
I
world building,
just
but
I just commented with the request for that in the feedback and ideas, in the chat if anybody wants to upvote.
Yes, please upvote. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Anytime you see that feedback and ideas, people post an idea you like, upvote it, because the more votes something has, that lets them know, hey, a lot of people want this feature, and it kind of goes up on the priority list. Okay. So this is what it did for our little brainstorming card. Kingdom is a patchwork of diverse landscapes, the usual. Northern regions perpetually blanketed in snow, eternal summer, natural resources or magical herbs, known for their unpredictable effects. I actually like that. Okay. Divided into strict hierarchies based on magical prowess. So it did alter my misfits just a little bit. This is something I would have to correct. Always remember, go through what the AI gives you, change it up to reflect what you want. If there's wording you do not like, get rid of it. If there's details you don't like it's bringing in my subculture of misfits, that's not what I want. These misfits are just going to basically be several students at the school that are horrible with spells. This isn't intended to be some subculture of society. So I would change that. Always remember, if the AI has it wrong here, you have to correct it, because it will snowball and be pulled in wrong into your prose. And it's giving me some history backstory. So a lot of good stuff here that I could use. And again, the whole purpose of this card is just to give me a bunch of ideas at once. I can see what I like, and then I could actually go through and flesh things out more. So this language and communication, let's see. Misfit Guild has their own jargon-filled slang terms. I kind of like that idea. I think it would actually apply to the whole school, maybe. So I would actually spend some time fleshing that out for this story. Pulling whimsy, I like this. I really like this a lot. So yeah, just a way to get ideas quick, and then I can flesh out what I want. Now, let's do a different one. I'm actually going to use the brainstorming card again, because I think it'll work. And then we can compare it to one of the other. Let's see, brainstorming. Create the Magical Academy. So it could be a little off because of the, because I'm asking for these certain things here. My dark reader, Stacy. Help. Where's that? Okay.
Here.
There we go. Yay. Look at me learning.
Look at you, did so good.
All right, so it's generating that element. So one thing I want you to get into the habit of doing for your characters and your world building. I know some of you may be coming into Sudowrite. You already have all of that fleshed out. You just want to import it in or just copy it in. That's great. But for those of you who don't know that already, first thing I would do is look at my story. Let me scroll back up here to the, what is that weird thing? So first thing I would do is look at my story. Hopefully I would have more than this by the time I'm ready to do my characters and world building, but I would tailor things before generating, obviously. I would be looking at my character cards, see if I need to customize that template. I would be looking what kind of additional cards can I create inside world building. So let's see. Okay, did our academy. Eldoria, that's a popular one. I don't remember if I put that in or if it created it. Other names, School of Wayward Sorcery. Did you post me?
I did. I possum hissed at you.
Yes,
I think you
ma'am.
have Dark Reader turned on for Sudowrite now, and that's why you now have these two fancy new lines.
Okay, is that better?
I mean, I was fine with it either way, but you mentioned it, so
Okay. let's see, School of Wayward Sorcery. I don't really like that name, not for the academy itself, but I think I could actually use that somehow. All right, so the geography, it's nestled in the heart of a forest, surrounded by ancient trees. Leads to unexpected weather phenomena. I kind of like that. Okay. This feels a lot like the original brainstorming thing. Yeah, it seems to be pulling in a lot of the other stuff. So one thing I need to work on, you see this, the never-ending sentence of doom. Oh my gosh.
Is that GPT-4 mini?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll do that sometimes.
This happens about 25% of the time, I'd say, when I'm generating characters and world buildings. I'm actually copying this out. Don't judge me. Something I learned the other day is, all right, Stacey, you got to help me figure out how to keep it on for here, but off on Sudowrite later, though. One thing I learned, yes, this is annoying here. However, there's occasionally a lot of good words in here, y'all. I am actually going to start building my own kind of little thesaurus and stuff like that with AI from things like this, these mistakes, so I can use it. But I'm going to copy what does look good. Advanced spells required years. Okay, I'm just going to copy this one. So to fix this, I'm going to click this rewrite button and I'm going to tell it to keep this portion and rewrite the rest. Copy the sentences I liked and click go. And you can't really see anything that it's doing anything, but it is rewriting that. There we go, much better. I don't think I've ever tried rewrite and it like did the same thing, that word vomit stuff. It usually always fixes. Like I said, that does happen about 25% of the time. Okay. Sorry, that's just the underlying model. That's not Sudowrite, it's just that model. Okay, so that's the brainstorming cards. Again, to get ideas. But now what kind of cards would we actually use for this story? I told you I like my classes interactive. What would be something you would want to see? I think I know what people are going to say, but what would be a card that you would want to customize for a YA fantasy story like this? No one?
Can't be the only one that talks.
Come on, John.
Yeah, John.
Where's my co-host at? My lovely Gianna and Harper.
Yeah.
We're all messing around with images. What's the question?
I was saying, given the story, what would be a card you would like to customize for this story in the world building system? Okay. Y'all taking too long.
Types of magic.
I was
That's
just
what I
going
was
to say,
thinking.
you have magic system here, so that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Within your magic system, do you have the different like genres of magic a person could have?
So
What
let's
about
check it out.
underwear? Like weird underwear.
John, you're such a nut.
Okay.
Steampunk Victorian underwear.
Okay, so you know what? That
Jade
just
Jade Chambers of the Rooms, and I think types of magic that Stacy said is good too.
good deal. So all of that did just make me think of something though. So we have the academy and it mentioned,
Nicole,
yes, sir.
I'm kind of confused. You did the brainstorming card, and it gave a lot of elements uh, to the world building, and now you want to build individual custom cards.
Right. So again, this is just my process. Do with it what you will. I like this brainstorming card. What do I always say? I love to get ideas from the AI, a bunch of ideas at once in these small chunks like this. And then I can take my time and go through. I can say, okay, you know what? I'm ready to work on the geography and environment here. and I can spend my time refining this or rewriting if I didn't like anything. But this is just, the brainstorming cards are just a way for me to get a bunch of ideas all at once, especially for those stories where I don't really have any ideas in my head right now.
And Sudowrite will use your brainstorming card
Mm-hmm.
if you have no other custom card.
Right. Yep. Well, I mean, it would use as long all you have to do is name your cards for it to use them. That's it. So whenever I'm in beats, I'm going to say, "Oh, they are at the Arcane Academy of Eldor." I would definitely change that name and shorten it, but I would say, "Hey, they're at the Academy," whatever name that is, or one of my other names listed, so it goes to that card. Yes, sir, Mr. Don.
What happens if you just click the brainstorm again and simply say, great ideas so far, please continue? Something like that.
I don't think it would, because first of all, what it's doing here is it's going to check cards I've already generated. It's not supposed to do duplicates. You can see here a couple of fields are very similar to this other one, but it's not supposed to duplicate a card, and it won't actually continue. Now, I could go into these boxes themselves. If I want more about the history and backstory, I could prompt in rewrite, keep these details. I would actually probably copy it just to make sure. Keep these details and add more.
Okay,
That's the way
good.
I would do it by trait.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. Okay, so the chatter prompted me to remember something. It talked about talks about performing spells safely outside. Okay, so classrooms are specifically warded against accidental explosions. So you know what? One of the things I would do, and I could do it two ways. I'm interested from my experienced users on feedback. I could actually add a trait or a whole new card for this. I would actually want to list out some of those rooms and examples of what they're warded against, and possible slip-ups from my cast or something like that. So I could say, I was doing that thing.
Have you tried complimenting it?
No, I'm just typing really super slow. This three. Oh my,
Give it a compliment.
oh
I'm
my,
just saying, it can't hurt.
you're so pretty and good and awesome, and thank you. Okay.
Give it a cookie.
Okay, you know what? No.
It
Do
could tell
this.
you didn't mean it. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so one of the things I would do, I'm going to customize up here. Before I do that, I want to explain, since I know we have some new people. With the character cards, again, I recommend watching Miss Lynn's Quick Start. She covered all this. You could customize, and this applies to all of your characters currently. We have requested, hey, we need some for main characters, some for minor, all of that. But this applies to all of your characters. In world building, you can see we have these different ones. So if I just click this organization, or click any of these that's right here in this level, it's just going to develop or create an empty card for me with that. This is good for me to, type in my manual stuff, get it to fill in anything I don't know. So that's what happens if you just click them straight up like that. If I want the AI to fill it in, I need to generate element, pick whichever thing I want, write instructions if I want to, then click go. For all of these, let's look at,
While you're picking one, Jade was wondering if there is a template for the brainstorming card that you have.
oh yes, sorry, I saw that. Okay, so in that spreadsheet, Jade, it's the Uber Sudowrite templates, and it's that world building brainstormer. And that'll take you to this, and that's what that brainstorming card is. Okay. So I'm just going to pick one and show y'all real quick. So setting, let's go with setting. It gives you some default things. I don't remember what the defaults are. I've changed mine, obviously. But I can go into each one, just like with characters or each of these cards, I can change up all of these instructions. So for my setting, I've told it I want all of these and save to new defaults. That means every time I use the setting card, it's going to have that. If I don't want it to do that, I just want it for this project. It would be for settings I've already done. So for example, I've already done these brainstorming cards, right? Let me show you just to make sure. So our last one in brainstorming is daily life. If I go customize, brainstorming, you know what? I want to add another trait. What is this one? This one is, I'll do the classroom thing here. All right, so I added a trait here. Now let's say, hey, it's just for this story. I have no other story that's going to possibly need this. I can click add to current brainstormings. Something I think people get confused on, and I want to make sure y'all understand though. If I have not generated a world building card, if I have not generated a brainstorming card already, this doesn't matter. This only applies to ones I have generated already. So that means if I just wanted to add it for this story, I do need to do it after I generate that card. So add to current brainstormings. That means next time I use it, it is not going to be my default. So I can open it back up, go back to customize, go back to world building. It's back to the daily life being the last one. If I wanted to save it forever or sort of forever, save new defaults. I clicked add to current. So now that stuff disappeared. Oh, it's weird. Oh, I see what it did for some reason. Let me take a screenshot of that. Not sure why it did that. It duplicated. All right, so on this card and in this one, it has that little trait that I used or asked for, that new one. Again, if I did not have this card in place, let's say I had 0 cards right here, that means when I click that add to current brainstormings, there is actually nothing for it to get added to. So it's just kind of gone, poof. But I have it, so I'm just going to say fill this in. Copy that. So I'm going to ask it to do a lot right here. So I'm asking it to, same thing I have here, but I extended it. I also want to know how our Guild of Misfits might accidentally override the protection. So do you understand the difference between save to new defaults and add to current? All right, so we got containment spells. The Guild of Misfits might accidentally override it by mispronouncing a ruin. Okay. Oh, inadvertently summoning a whimsy sprite. This is how, for you pantsers. Okay, so it's telling me they could inadvertently summon a whimsy sprite. Well, what the heck is a whimsy sprite? I don't think it was mentioned anywhere else. It might have been, but now I like this idea. I might want to create a card now for whimsy sprite if I want it to be maybe one of those ongoing annoying characters, you know, like what's that fairy's name? The popular fairy? Peter Pan?
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
Thank
Tinkerbell.
you.
Tinkerbell.
Thank you.
Jinx.
So maybe I want it to be an ongoing character like Tinkerbell, you know? So I could do that. Or I think I would actually like to do something else. So I'm going to copy that. What's the last one? They cast an amplification charm. So I like that. Okay. So this actually, I like this one, the way this one came out. I like it a lot. Let me screenshot this one again. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this happening. Here we go. All right, so away to pants. So we just found something else that's useful for this story. I liked that idea of a whimsy sprite. So let's do, I have magic system and magic system brainstorming. Let's see what those differences are because I have no idea. This is my teaching account, y'all, so there's no telling sometimes. I have source of magic, effects and abilities, limitations. Okay, so elemental beast. So see, this does not actually apply. This applies to a different story. So I don't need that to this one. I can delete that. And I can save new defaults. And the other one, magic system brainstorming, I actually didn't do. Okay. So I'm going to delete that one. All right, so our magic system, we have source of magic, effects and abilities. Let's see, how does it impact the character? How does the character impact the world around them with this type of magic? Just kind of see what all I have here. Limitations cause consequences. So I'm liking this. Let's add list of magical creatures that can either amplify or dampen magical abilities. What would y'all want to see with y'all's magic system here?
What about magical words and their definition?
Oh, I like that.
Terminology glossary is how I have that trait named in my fields.
So y'all put it, y'all would rather it a field instead of its own card?
I do. So because I write sci-fi and fantasy, I have a lot of different like species or races, and they often have their own languages and or terminology glossaries. So I keep mine on a per card basis. But you could, because yours is kind of all over applied, could totes do a whole terminology or glossary card.
John, do you remember that wording I tried oh so long ago while we were helping a user? I know lexicon worked the best. But I came up, it was for a language. I'll just put lexicon of spells. We'll see what comes up with that.
Lexicon should be good. I'm trying to remember what the word you're talking about is though. It's not just a
That's
grimoire. It's not a.
I'll say including pronunciations, but I think the lexicon actually does that automatically, but just to be sure. All right, so that's a couple of new ones. And you know what? I am going to save the new defaults because I'm definitely liking the lexicon one. I'll do that. And we have our magic system now. I'm just going to press go, no instructions. But I was talking about that whimsy sprite. So I would like to do that creature card next too. But I'm hoping you're getting the ideas of how, you know, again, you could either come in with all of your details and just fill these cards out as you wish. Or you can see as I'm creating one card, it's helping me get ideas for creating another card. All right, so Misfit Magic, Chaotic Sorcery, Jinxed Arts. I really like that Jinxed Arts thing. Okay. I clearly do not have enough story elements. I don't like that it's pulling so heavily of everything being a misfit thing. But, oh, actually, okay. So this can tie in good because the AI earlier gave me, while I was brainstorming this idea, it said they actually learned why their abilities are so chaotic. And I was like, I don't think that fits the kind of story I'm going for here. But this actually would make it fit. So maybe somehow they're more in tune to those pockets of unpredictable energy, things like that. All right. Limitations and boundaries. Okay. So lexicon of spells, including pronunciations, we got that. Basic light spell prone to becoming a blinding flash because we're in the misfit stuff. Okay. Fire starting spell results in wild flames. Silence, but creates deafening noise instead. Okay, I like it. But let's do it again, but create the magic system for magicians. Always makes me think like the, actual stage magicians. So we create the magic system for the ordinary witches and wizards. See what that does. I'm thinking my instructions could have been more specific on that. How is this class working out for you newcomers? Are you lost? Do you have any questions?
Oh, I am so confused.
These are recorded. They are in the Discord course videos channel. So I think maybe if y'all watch the quick start Miss Lynn just did when it's up, or even the videos from that character and world building thing, that it might help. Because we're just jumping straight into customizing and all of that. But the main things to keep in mind with these cards, with your characters and world building, again, the names of your fields act as instructions to the AI and can hold up to 300 characters. So get creative. Tell it specifically what you want for it to fill those in. And then, especially with world building, you can create so many customized cards.
But one thing that you made me realize is there's not near enough world building in my story.
Well, you never know what kind of story, what genre is it?
YA.
I would say that you can also approach this a slightly different way. Like this is a great way to get brainstorming going and to get some ideas about things and sort of nail stuff down. But a lot of times these cards can be used to nail stuff down. And I know I just said that, but what I'm meaning is that if you write a chapter and then you look at the chapter and you look for elements that need to be remembered for later chapters, then you write your cards. Then you put in those notes, sort of like notes to yourself, but here you're keeping them in a place where the AI can find them. But you don't have to do that all before. You can do it as you write and as you discover new things that work really well, or if you change them. Deb.
Miss Deb, you have a question?
Yes, I actually have a share, if I could, please.
Yes, ma'am.
It's regarding the world building. I actually, for my world, I created a visitor's brochure guide, which gave me information that I would tell a visitor coming into my world what they could expect. It was kind of like a tour brochure. I didn't use it in the novel, but I used it for my own purpose so that I would get a good feel for what my world was all about. That's what I had to share.
Yeah, I really like that idea. That's awesome. So kind of like interviewing your characters, except almost, kind of interviewing your world. I really like that idea. Thank you for that. Right, so we have the ones that we added. We have our lexicon, of course, and then the list of magical creatures. I like that. Arcane owls, rune golems, and shadow bats. So far, I would use at least 75% of this, probably more like 90% of this. Everything that's generating. One more card for this story, and then I want to talk briefly. I know we're going over. I just want to talk briefly about some other kind of cards for other genres and things like that. So I want to create, let's do our creature. How does that creature look? So the first thing I want to do, of course, is go into the customize to have a look. Does it fit this story or not? I like this. And I'm going to add Roland story and where does this creature need to live? I'm going to save new defaults. I'm going to generate element, go to my creature, and then I'm going to do that whimsy sprite. First creature. And of course, if I didn't have an idea, I could have just left that blank and let the AI, but I like that idea of a whimsy sprite. The Viking brainstorm, that one is, because everybody kept telling me I needed to write my Viking romance stuff already. And instead of doing a whole bunch of research, I just put basically all of the research things. I don't know if I put it in here. I don't think I did. Anyways. But basically, yeah, just put like, what kind of food do they eat, types of armor, weapons used, things, just all my research stuff into a card. That's all I did. All right, so Whimsy Sprite. Tiny ethereal beings. So this is too Tinkerbellish. I would actually want mine to be, let's rewrite this and tell it, make it tiny and adorable, but ferocious. And excuse the bad language here. All right, so let's see what it does with that. Communicative and endearing, despite their cute appearance. I don't really like that. So I would actually want to make it meaner. I could actually keep using rewrite, see if it would do it. What's that word whenever you never really know if somebody's up to no good or not? Like if they're actually helping you or going to get you in trouble?
Stacy.
I was actually thinking
Malicious?
Thank
No, it's
you.
Stacy. No, but if I will say from adding a bunch of various fantasy and sci-fi creatures, if you tell the AI that they have sharp teeth,
Oh,
oh, it goes wild with that. Sharp teeth and an animal. If it has sharp teeth and a people, I don't know, those are my heroes. So
so I want to say they're malicious. You have to owe someone a life debt. They cannot physically harm them. Last one, and we're going to move on to other genres. Like it brought it in this time. Okay. Always ready to cause mischief. An invisible, okay, I could work with that. I could tweak that to make it more what I want. Role and stories serve as both helpers and hindrances. So I would actually have to go through these. Remember what I said, go through everything the AI generates. I would actually have to go through these to make sure it aligns with the changes I made for this and their attitude and all of that. I don't want them to be described as malicious up here, but down here it's like, oh, they're such great helpers and are always serving and all of that. All right, so let's talk about what you could do for other genres. I mentioned I like to do a lot of dark mafia romance, so of course I have my mafia brainstorming. Just click that real quick. I did go over this though already with y'all. This one also works really well for MC. As a matter of fact, I forgot to change the wording right there, and the MC's left. For like sports romance, something I like to do is ask, what is the character's favorite team? Well, of course, the ones who are actually playing the sports, it'll be theirs, I'm sure. But I really like it when the AI gives the love interest a different favorite team. And, just have that in there. So that's always a good one. Romance, love languages. They work beautifully in romance. And thanks to Stacy, I actually refined mine to be, let me look at my characters here. Might not have refined in this one. Okay, so one way I used it was, what is this character's love language? And how can it be used in this story? So what this usually gets me is how the other character, the other love interest, can mess up with that person's love language, and then also how they can do the right thing with it. This one, you know what? Let's try this as a world building card. Let's see. That's a dynamic cube tilt arc 4. I'm just going to say main characters and see what this does. This is one, it worked great when they first came out, but I haven't played with it since. And I think when I tried it the other day, it wasn't as good. But that's just asking for some character arcs. I kind of want to see how well it does with structuring that story to give me ideas. What are some other good ideas for different genres, y'all? Stacy, I know you write a lot of sci-fi. What's some of your favorite traits and things or cards?
So some of my favorite cards, and in this series that I'm writing, I have race. I also have setting and minor setting. So for big settings that have a lot of screen time, if you will, they have more trait fields. And then for minor setting, I don't want it to get it wrong, but it doesn't need all that sauce. I also have technology, species, weaponry, planet. Is that your question?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, so this didn't really do what I wanted. It works for the character. So it's better off left as a character trait since it's only going to do one at a time. I was hoping it would actually bring them all in for the entire story, but it didn't work. Others I like to do, like I said, I love my town one. I use this one pretty much in all of my stories, my contemporary stories, not my fantasy stuff. And I highly recommend that for small town romance, especially. That way, especially if you're writing series, which I hope you are, hey, create that town card, get all your key locations, because remember our town card has what? So it has 3 key locations. That's great for a first story. And then you can always build off that, do other books need different locations or just adding to those locations? But this is a great start for a first one. So play around with your town, make sure you have all your locations there. Thrillers, especially if you're doing like espionage and stuff like that, you definitely want to focus on the government. It's a good one. So, all right, well, I know we're a little bit over. Oh, I forgot to finish my sentence too, but about the love languages, yeah, Stacy's thing that she put in chat. I switched to the giving and receiving love language after she told me about that. I do like those. What questions do we have?
Did you put those in their own fields or in one? You?
Hang on, let me go.
Oh, patience. Okay, fine.
Uh,
I like the start of the elevator music we almost had.
Sorry, did I do that?
No. It was a genuine compliment.
Oh. Yes, I have it in one, giving love language and receiving love language.
Perfect.
Okay, what would you use for setting up an underground revolution? Ooh, okay. I don't want to use, this is my, let me go back to my teaching account. Sorry for all the flipping back and forth, y'all. But I don't want to mess up my actual stories that are getting published and everything. All right, so underground revolution. Do I have, this one will work for that. Underground revolution. I would do organization. Let's see. Organization, goals, history, headquarters.
I've actually written a book with Revolution before, so you could do factions, you could do backstory, like how it got started. You could do key players,
Ooh, that's
who
good.
runs it. Um, I don't know how I would word it, but I probably want some kind of story relevant, like what are their plans, you know?
Yeah, I was about to say like main goal.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
also what is their creed? You could probably just put creed. I feel like the AI is smart enough to understand that, but like what is their driving motivation?
Maybe secret meeting places.
And then their
Manifesto.
hierarchy. Yeah, manifesto, creed, same. And then hierarchy, like what do they have levels?
Hmm.
Secret cells.
Hmm. And
Uh,
then this might trend more towards fantasy, but like colors, symbolism, uniforms, things like that.
all right, so I did the underground revolution for the witches. Primary goal, overthrow the vampire king.
I would even say how they recruit. Um,
Ooh, that's smart.
Yeah, so like how do they recruit? What is the internal conflict, if there is any, like are there any moral dilemmas, any infiltrations? What are their tactics, their tech, their surveillance? Um, what is their financing, their resources? Is there any propaganda? Um, no, I'm not building a secret society, I promise.
Sounds like something someone who was building one would say.
I was just about to say that, but I didn't want to like tip her off that we know.
All right. So political landscape, what kind, so again, you could actually put all of this into your trait field as long as it's within 300 characters. Put that as instructions to the AI. Surveillance tech, okay. Timeline of events that lit the fuse. Oh, I like to throw in a failed uprising. Okay. Geography and environment. There you go. All right, so do we have any other questions before I stop the recording?
I actually do have a random question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were doing the academy stuff, it brought a question to mind. If I wanted to build, say, like a main character's like class schedule, would you put that under the academy card? Would you do another world building card for that? Would you put it under characters, like under character information? What would you do?
I think I would put it in their character card because I would want, if I'd want it referenced, with that character. The only reason I like to do a separate card is if it would apply to like more than one character or various locations, things like that. But if I want to
But
tie something to a character, I think I would put it there.
I will say that just sparked an idea that's another great world building card for people writing an academy. Any kind of academy is a list of courses offered at that academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You could almost tie them together and then give each character like a list of classes. That would be
In that
interesting.
case, I would probably make a world building card of the courses or classes offered, and then in the characters card, like have a trait field, what classes are they taking or classes taken, whatever have you, and then list those to tie back.
That's really smart, Stacy.
Oh my God, I love when you compliment me. Thanks.
Of course.
You notice I changed it from who would take this class to what kind of student, because I have a feeling if I left who in there, it would actually pick the characters maybe. And instead I want it to be broad, so.
While we have a moment of silence, I would like to remind everyone leaving a review is like a compliment that a person gets to keep. And by person, I mean teacher.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Betty. And thank you to everybody helping out for your time and hanging out with us today. So what did you say? Okay, so we have what classes are offered, what kind of student would take this class.
What requirements are there for classes? What prereqs? How do they level the classes? 101, 201, 301, etc.
Um,
How do you
So with
advance?
Sorry, James. You go first.
How do you advance between levels of the classes?
Would you also include like list of classes?
Required reading for each class.
So you know what I'm thinking too, though, I'm kind of worried. Is it going to give me a full list of classes? I can see that for this, but then I'm kind of thinking it might just start doing one class. So let's see how this actually comes out.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, that it almost makes me want to make a card per class, but that would be crazy.
So, but since world building is so customizable, let's try to see if we can guide it. Create a list of 10 classes. But this would be a good way to at least get the ideas, and then you can pick which one your, each character is going to do and all that, just copy it into their cards. While that's generating, do we have any other questions? Okay, so yeah, it only did one class at a time. But
It could totally work that way. I mean, if your main character had like 4 or 5 classes and they were going to be repetitive within the story, I could see having like 4 or 5 world building cards, one for each class. I could see that.
I think also you could make a list of, or academy classes card and then have one trait field literally just called list of classes. And then in parentheses, you could instruct it further, as Nicole has been saying. That works so well. Putting your instructions in a trait field's name in parentheses or not, top
You
tier.
could also just do a world building card of academy classes, and then each trait field is a different class. You might not need to like drill down. Well, you could actually like do you can bold in those. So you could have you know, here's the class and here's the requisites and here's the building it's in and all of that just within the trait field, like, each trait field. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I feel like I'm rambling and my kids are screaming in the background. So I'm trying to like talk fast and get my point done and mute myself.
Hi, kids.
They be little wildlings right now. They have the zoomies.
I'm telling you, it's the change of weather, that cool front coming in.
so let's see. So I'm asking chat, see if he can help us sort this. Basics of broomsticks, aerodynamics.
I
Okay,
love that so much.
so it's actually giving me the classes, which I do love. I really do love this. A thumbs up.
Stacey, I found your perfect class. It said magical creatures and how to befriend them.
Oh, that's mine. Oh, for sure. Hubs always said I would end up dying by trying to pet something I shouldn't. And I'm fine with that.
So, oh yeah, okay. John just answered the question. I was going to say ChatGPT 4 is OpenAI. It's the ChatGPT. It's just another AI program you can use and brainstorm and ask questions. Chat with it.
And y'all can use quick chat in Sudowrite, y'all. There's a free version. I think this is easier for y'all to see. Plus, I like to be able to share the chat with y'all for things like this. All right. So I told it that was great, but I needed it more generic. Okay, so this is good. Class name, subject description, learning objectives. That's better, but make it. Let's just go with more fun. Let's make it more fun. I think it gave me the same thing. I don't know. All right, it's a start, but this would definitely need some tweaking here. But it is a start as to how you could build that world building card. And the best thing you can do if you really want to get it better on track is if you have an idea of something. What did we put in ours? All right. See if I can copy this. No, I cannot. One at a time. Then I'm going to tell it well, several classes and not just one. Let's see how close we can get here. Oh, I like this. Okay, so this is much better. So this could work. Still needs tweaking though, because that would still only give me one class at a time, and I would rather that card at first that gives me several. But let's take this right here into quick chat with our story. So for quick chat for the new folks, you could be in a document. If I click in here into this document, that means it's going to read this document too. You can also highlight up to 1,000 words. This quick edit, that's where you toggle quick chat. Or if you don't want to highlight anything, Control K on a PC, Command K on a Mac. So I'm going to go to quick chat and tell it, give me a list of ten classes for these. And I'm going to paste that stuff in from GPT. Did I break it? I think I broke it.
I love when you break things. I've had this happen. No, I've had this happen. For me, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of your screen and then back up, sometimes it will realize it's being bad.
Yeah, good job, Stacey.
Yeah. Oh my God, thanks.
And we have that on video too, so we can report that bug. And as a matter of fact, let me do it before I forget. Report a bug. I did not take a screenshot.
Oh, this would make a nice class, Nicole.
Hmm.
Nicole reports everybody's bugs. Bring your bugs. And we all just file them one at a time.
Yes.
Okay, you're joking, but I feel like that'd be very meditative. Like those
It's-
videos of people cleaning their houses. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm busy. But I like watching other people make things nice and pretty.
When y'all do report a bug, I just learned this recently. They try to replicate that before they pass it along to the team to actually, hey, fix this now, because they want to be able to replicate it. So that helps them, do things faster to find the problem. So give them as many details as you can. Yes, I went overboard here. Okay. I was just letting them know, though, they could reference it in the video to see it. But tell them what you were doing. Like I actually submitted a first draft bug. I forgot to tell them what I did to cause that problem. So they might still be trying to figure it out. That's totally my bad. Say, hey, I was in first draft. For instance, in my case, I clicked enter to add additional line spaces. The text ended up getting cut off. Just let them know as much as you can. All right. So let's see. Got all that. How many did it give us? It gave us 2. It gave us 2. Let me tell it to continue. Oh, Well, I didn't spell that right, but hopefully it understands. I am going to go ahead and stop this recording though, because the longer it records, the longer it takes to render and get uploaded. So thank you all for hanging out with us. We usually chat after the class. So if you'd like to hang out, more silly stuff like at the beginning of class, you're free to do that. But for everybody who has to leave, thank you for hanging out. And for everybody watching the recording, thank you for watching and hope it helped. Bye, everyone. And thank you to my lovely co-host.